Hi, my name is ARIES Jackson, and I'm here to present to you my interpersonal communication project for Human Services 508 Liberty Online University. First, I'd like to define interpersonal communication, which is the process that we use to communicate our ideas, our thoughts and feelings to another person. It's the kind or type of communication that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of personal. John Stewart mentioned in his book, Bridges Not Wall, communication is the continuous, complex, collaborative process of both verbal and nonverbal meaning making. Communication has two very important aspects: exhaling, message sending by the talker; inhaling, message reception by the listener. There are many levels of interpersonal communication, ranging from direct or close relationships, such as with family members, to more indirect relationship dealing with friends and coworkers. Communication with others manage our identity, so it's important to use the right tone of voice and the right vocabulary to have social grace. And to be effective, interpersonal communication depends in part on the affective state of the communicator. There are 6 important characteristics of communication according to Stewart, which are meaning, choice, culture, identities, conversation, and nexting. My personal overarching goals is to communicate effectively with others and build trusting and longer lasting relationship, to improve empathetic listening skills, to remove barriers such as interruption and distraction, to use more on the I-rational approach instead of the you-blaming approach in communication. Enlarging the conversation, first I'd like to define the term enlarging conversation, which can be understood in the sense of keeping the conversation going with 2 important goals described by Peterson. These 2 goals are ownership and openness. Ownership in communication means taking responsibility for the feelings and thoughts that are ours. Openness in communication makes it clear that we're open to other people. They too are people who have something to share. Enlarging the conversation also is about mindful listening that requires us to see, hear, and feel with our whole being. And there is a direct link between the quality of communication and the quality of your life. According to Peterson, our stomachs expand with overload of mixed emotions. They press the heart into bricks in our chest, sending our relating abilities south. The upward expansion flattens our brains, forcing our thinking and hearing to go into flat-brained. Recently, I've also taken the self-assessment test for my behavioral blend. And the behavioral blend consists of 4 dispersonality or temperament of the types of behavior. I'd like to identify each of those dispersonality, and starts with D, which is active, task-oriented, directing, dominating. I, active, people-oriented, inspiring and influencing. S, passive, people-oriented, servant, shy and steady. C, passive, task-oriented, cautious, and competent. There are positive disc tendencies and negative disc tendencies. First, I'd like to elaborate the positive disc tendencies. And D tendency for positive, described as industrious and hardworking. I tendencies, promoting, encouraging, persuading, and convincing. S tendencies, gentle, soft, humble, peaceful, calm, generous, contented, satisfied, steady, compassionate, tolerant, patient, and polite. C tendencies, calculating, analytical, careful, cautious, perfectionist, precise, contemplative, and thinker. On the other hand, negative disc tendencies, for the D tendency, described as not bold, daring, brave, adventurous, persistent, restless, and direct. I tendencies, not outgoing, active, playful, energetic, exciting, clowning, entertaining, and popular. S tendencies, not systematic, follows plan. And the C tendencies, not inquisitive and questioning. My behavioral blend determined by the uniquely profiled test is IDS, personality type. The test shows a great deal of truth about myself. With the I personality, people sees me as friendly and outgoing, but I have to always be careful with my motive and always stay humble. As D personality, I tend to be ambitious and straightforward. I have to be careful that I'm not too hyper and overcommitted with different goals and activities. My behavioral blend affects my conversation with others in a positive way due to my friendliness and encouraging behavior, but in a negative way with lack of clarity and preparation. There are potential barriers to interpersonal communication that I'd like to go over. Barriers can be biased listening, so described as rhetorical communication and inferring. Also, the barriers of rescuing others, being fatigued, feeling hunger and stressful and sick. External distraction can be barriers. Those are deception, tears, nexting, and resistance. To have a flat brain syndrome are described as to have that flat brain tango and to communicate using head, heart, and stomach talk. So the plan and solution to remove the barriers for biased listening is to consider level 1 listening, which is empathetic, to remove the barriers by avoiding conversation during stressful moments and choose words wisely and ask for clarification. Use ownership and openness. And to remove external distraction, use nexting in conversation to keep it going, avoid blaming, but use irrational approach. Flat brain syndrome can be removed by clarify the thinking, reduce emotional disturbance, build friendship, and increase confidence. There are noise pollution surrounding us. First, I'd like to go over the two different noise, which is internal noise, the first one, as that's the noise within ourselves while we're speaking. Internal noise, though, can be controlled. Have you ever heard a voice inside of your head telling you that something is good or bad, or what to do and not to do? So that's an example of internal noise. Meanwhile, external noise, on the other hand, can be controlled, and it's the noise that surrounds you by other people and the environment. An example of external noise would be giving a speech in a class and someone would sneeze in the middle of your speech, messing up all your internal thoughts. Now, effective listening involves not only tuning it to others, but tuning in to ourselves. Listening carefully to what we say and how we say it can teach us immense amount about ourselves. So, plan of action for the overarching goals could be first is to communicate effectively with others in a way that influence interpersonal relationship to a higher level of trust and freedom. And have effective interpersonal communication requires action and determination from both the listener and the talker. So I'd like to talk without judging and accusing, and I'd like to listen only when there is something important that I'd like to share. And it should be briefly. Also listens without agreeing, advising, and defending. And resistance and conflict, such as seen in the flat brain tango, usually prevent the communication to attain a level of empathy. And to master the timing for asking questions, knowing when to ask and summarize, not to stop the talker and not to give advice. And to attain level 1 listening, being more empathetic, to listen deeply and attentively. Try to see matters from the other person's perspective. Verify this understanding with the other person if you have any doubts as to whether you are fully on the same page. And to use the irrational approach instead of the you-blaming approach in communication. To use wisdom from God in every conversation with everyone, whether it's young or old. To be more positive about life by depending on God to help me build relationship with others by getting to know them better. Thank you very much.